Alright, so this is going to be how to take off the starter ratchet and flywheel the right way without prying on it. You want to probably put your foot up against the flywheel or something to lock it if you got the option to lock it. Take a punch and hit on, hit it counterclockwise. Okay, not quite sure what you saw, but all I did was pound on it counterclockwise, and now it's coming loose. This thing is super gummy and sticky. But that, wow, look at that. That is like new. Except, what in the heck? Is there really? There's no holes to tap. What in the hell are they thinking? Okay. Normally there's two holes right there you can tap and put like a harmonic balancer puller on it, but I guess not. Well, I guess I'll just have to pry bar and hammer it. Okay, it's loose. Literally all I did was I just put it like here, and I barely put any pressure on it, and I just tapped the shafts with a hammer and it popped loose, so I'm lucky. Flywheel key is good. So I won't need this today, luckily. Next is these 2¼ inch bolts for the points cover. I'm just going to clean and readjust. They ran fine, but it has been sitting outside under like a, it's like a shed, but it's open. It's been undercover, but it's been out in the temperature and elements. Got some putty. Nice and clean, that's a good sign. Magnetic tray. And they look a little dirty. Look underneath. It's got the original condenser from the era. Yeah, there's some schmoo. So I'm not even going to use sandpaper. I got a trick. I use this on the lawnmower. It worked fantastic. It's a points file. Well, this isn't a points file, but it worked very well for it. All it is, but the first thing you want to do is degrease it. You do not want any grease or oil on the points. Just spray it, wipe it off, and try not to touch it. What I do, rotate it so they're closed. Whichever way is easiest to turn it. Okay, they're closed. Flip it up in there. And I like to, push down on the contact arm with my fingers so it doesn't jump around. So there, I got like a thing for a tripod. so you can see. And when I'm pushing on it, it's keeping this square with the contact points. As you can see, if you're really rough with it, it pops out of place. You're fighting the spring to get it back up in there. Almost. Spring back in the hole. Alright, cut. Okay, after you get the points cleaned, the next thing you want to do is take out the little actuating contact plunger, which is this little thing. Is like a phenolic plunger. Make sure it's not swollen up or degraded. You want to clean it and lightly grease it. And if you measure this thing and it's less than 870 thousandths of an inch, that's the reject size according to Briggs&Stratton, you want to replace it. This one and that lawnmower were both at 905 thousandths, and neither of these engines have very much use, so like my 77 Briggs, that thing's mowed hell's half acre about 1,000 times, and from heat this thing swelled up eventually and wouldn't work anymore. Had to replace that. This was a lot easier on the lawnmower to get it. There we go. Alright. Now you're supposed to use lintless paper to clean points, and I'm pretty sure coffee filters are lintless paper. But what I do, you take something that leaves no residue and you just wipe them. Just wipe them. Wipe them clean so there's no grease or oil or contaminants. Okay. Now, I'm going to have to cut this again and get it hooked up, but it's just this little spring hooks around that pin, and you got to pull up and get this into this groove. Okay, the next thing you want to do is check and reset the gap. If you filed the points, it will change the gap, especially if there was corrosion on it. And the very first thing you do is you take your 20 thousandths of an inch feeler gauge and you degrease this thing so there's no oil or grease on it or nothing, no fingerprints. Because you know, you just cleaned the contact points and got them degreased. Why would you put an oily feeler gauge in there? And yeah, it's a little loose. What I'm going to do is loosen this so I can slide. It. And whoops. I'm going to hold this up in here, push down on the contact arm so when you're pushing up it's not actually opening the breaker contact arm, and then if you do that and you pull this out, it's going to actually have a smaller gap than you want. So let me put you on the stool. Make sure the points are open for this. I'm just going to hold this down and squeeze it together, then tighten the nut back up for the bolt. There now. Now we got a 20 thousandths of an inch gap. And one thing you should watch for is when you stick a 20 thou feeler gauge in here that this arm does not get moved up. Like this one fits right in and it doesn't move. So that's 20 thou and that's set. You want to rotate the engine until it opens and closes. Check it again. Perfect. Yeah, we professional at this joint. Next thing you want to do, take your flywheel. Actually, no, that's not the next thing you want to do. You want to take your cover, and put it back on. As you can see, it only goes one way. Take your little crappy self-tapping screws. Make sure that they do not cross thread, otherwise you will strip those out, and I know that from personal experience. And when I pulled this blower housing off, there's a big old wad of grass and dirt, so you want to clean out the cooling fins layer here. These really just need to be taken until they stop, and then a little bit, and that's all they need because it's just a little cover. And if you want, actually you should, where these wires go in up under here, put a little blob of silicone so the water can't get in there. But that one looks like it's in good shape still. Take your flywheel. And hope that the key don't fall out. Let me rotate it so you can see it. Line the keyway. Hey, stick the key in. Hey, it works when you can see it, huh? And then you got this washer. Now this does not just go on, it's a spring washer. One side is concave, the other side is convex. The side that's bulging out sticks out. And this thing, you want to lube it. I'm going to take this apart because it is really gummy. And all there is to this thing, when it's off, okay, that's clearly never been apart. It has 5 little ball bearings. 6, sorry. Just, you can see, you do not want any dirt or oil in here. So what I'm going to do is spray it out. Take a rag and wipe out these little channels. Okay. Wipe this off. Now if you look inside, there's a little felt wad for absorbing oil. This is actually rust free, it's just dry in there. Get this garbage off. And then once we get this on, we're going to check for spark. Take that ATF. You don't want to use motor oil in this, it'll gum it up. You want to use like 3-in-1 oil or ATF, it will not gum up. Took and saturated that thing in there. Wipe this off because you don't want that in the... Now if this shaft is rusty, which they almost always are, this is the first one I've ever had a part that hasn't been rusty. So I'm going to take a little bit, take some like ATF and then fine grade sandpaper and get it clean. And that will, oh yeah, now that's nice and smooth. If you push this on, a little bit of comes out that hole, that's fine, that's just the excess. Okay, and you can see the oil sucked the fillet wad out. That's fine. Take this off. You set this in here in the middle. Take your bearings, one in each hole. Remember the first time I ever messed with one of these was a 1977 3-horse horizontal shaft Briggs on a McLean reel mower. Same color engine, except this is a 2-horse. It was the first engine I ever did a rope on, and I think that was the last engine I ever broke a rope on, except for this, and that was over 10 years ago. Okay. Now this moves nice and smooth. It was really gummy and bound up before. Now to put this back on, it's just reverse of how you took it off. Make sure the washer's under there. You hammer, you can use a punch, or you can use the open end of a wrench, or you can actually buy the special tool or make one and pound it on. I hope you can see that. It went about a 1/4 turn. I'd say that's tight enough. Make sure this still works. Put your screen on. Some of these will have 2 screws holding it on. Some will have 4. This one has 4. And I don't think I need to bother showing them to put screws back in. Alright, had to take the plug out, but I got all this assembled. How's that for 1966 spark plug? Looks like new. I got the spark tester set up. Hope I do. Maybe attach it to a different ground. Oh yeah. Nice bright blue spark. It's funny, these points engines, you can get a nice hot spark just by turning the engine like this, but a magnetron, you cannot get a spark out of it whatsoever turning it like this. You have to really pull on the rope. Okay, that's sparking hard. So take this off, clean the plug, and put it back in, and we'll see. Okay, I only got a minute left on this, but let's see if it starts on the first pull. Fail. I need to trim this rope, it's too long. Look at that, man. No smoke or nothing. Alright. Yeah, this rope's got a little too much length. I gotta shorten it. But other than that, that's how you service a Briggs. Points and starter.